Okay, we're going to look at factorizing and canceling. And with algebraic fractions, well, the first thing we got to be really clear on are the three basic ideas of fractions. One, that is if you multiply straight across. And there's this, when you have a fraction um, with variables, with letters in it, there's certain things that the letters can't be. And that means you can't have zero in the bottom of a fraction. So that's why it says b is not equal to zero and d is not equal to zero. When you multiply straight across. When you add two fractions, the denominator, the bottom, has to be the same. And if it is, you can just write it down because you're breaking things into the same denominator. You can write it down once and then just add the numbers on top. Same thing for subtraction. If you see division, you leave the first fraction and then you tip the second fraction. You turn it upside down. Then you multiply just straight across. And all these letters in the bottom can't equal zero. So let's just look at some examples of this, how we're going to simplify algebraic fractions by factoring. We see the top here and then canceling. X squared plus 3x. Well, x goes into both of these. So you write it down once in front. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Well, now you're looking at this thing. You've got an x plus 3 in the top. You could put a bracket around here. You've got an x plus 3 in the bottom. Well, those two factors, x plus 3 and x plus 3, are the same. Anything divided by itself equals 1. So we say that that cancels and you're left with x. It's important that this would never make any sense if x was minus 3, because minus 3 plus 3 would be 0 and you'd be dividing by 0. Okay, let's look at another example. Now this one's a little trickier. We're going to have to factor here and we're going to cancel. But let's take a look at this. The first thing we have to do is we have to take the ax and the and the ab and put it together, ax minus ab, and then the x minus b, like that. Okay, that's the first thing. The reason we did that is because now we can factor out a times x, a times minus b, and we've got an x minus b and an x minus b here. That's another common factor. We can do something with that a little bit later. But here we see that ax goes into both. Ax times a minus b. Well, look, x minus b. Ax times x minus b. This x minus b is a key factor. Now let's look at the top. X minus b is now common. It's in both of these things. Here it is by itself, and here it is being multiplied by a. So all we do is we write down the x minus b times a, and x minus b times 1. Some people find that tricky, but that's how it works. X minus b times 1 gives me the x minus b. Well, now we've got the same thing in the top, x minus b, the exact same factor on the bottom, x minus b. It's all multiplication, so this in a sense is really just one term. It's not separated by any plus or minus. So the x minus b can cancel, the x minus b cancels, and you get a plus 1 over ax. Let's look at one more example. Now, these questions, a lot of people, they look at them in tests and they go, oh, no, that's too hard, there's too much stuff. But all it is if you've learned how to factor x squared minus 4, or you know how to factor x squared plus x, it's just 4 separate questions. And you just do them. If you see division, you turn it into multiplication and then turn it upside down. You kind of get marks just for that. But let's take a look at this. X squared minus x minus 2. That factors into x plus 1 times x minus 2. X squared minus 4 is x plus 2, x minus 2. This one you just have to do FOIL on it. Make sure you get it. You can see the x squared, you can see the minus 2. It's plus 1x and minus 2x. That gives you the minus x. Now here you can factor out the x times x plus 1, x squared and x. Factor out another x here, x times x plus 2. Now when you divide, you change it to times, and the bottom goes to the top. You tip it, you invert it, and the top goes to the bottom. Now look at all this stuff. The x minus 2 cancels with x minus 2, x plus 2 and x plus 2, x and x plus 1 and x plus 1. Hey, everything cancels, gets divided by itself and equals 1. The top is exactly the same as the bottom, and anything divided by itself is 1. We've got quite a few questions to try, and it's just factoring and canceling. Basically, that's what it all is. There's 17 questions here. It's a lot of work, but I've given you a memo here with the answers for all 17 questions all worked out. So hopefully that'll help. Okay.